the first half of the season has just been hitting hard with the zombie hordes, and then I mean, there hasn't been a chance for them to breathe.
Yeah.
I think my only gripe with this episode was the lack of Morgan and Carol. Really.
Yeah, I think on that before. I mean, Carol's had a couple episodes in the first half of the season too, I guess. And I don't know. This was someone on our Facebook group called it like a Dukes of Hazzard episode. It kind of was just the two good old boys out there.
I actually wish there was more focus to this episode. I think I wish there was more. I wish this was almost one of those episodes like we got with like team ups in the past, like when we had the Rick and Shane episode or
16 Miles,
but there was nothing else.
Still one of my favorite episodes of the whole series. Where it was just him and it was Rick and Shane and then and that was it.
18 Miles.
I agree. I wish they had gone for this episode and just had Rick and Daryl.
I mean, I get when you got to the end of the episode, I guess it made a little. I mean, we're jumping ahead a little bit, but it made a little bit more sense as to maybe why they structured it this way, just based on that ending conversation. But I just think the episode just seemed kind of all over the place. So.
Did we get ratings from last week's episode?
From the premiere, yeah. So I did some digging and some looking, and I found this thing, and I have no idea if this is accurate, but it seemed pretty accurate based on the actual ratings article I found that talked about what the premiere numbers were, and it kind of framed it in AMC in general. That apparently the premieres for Walking Dead and Better Call Saul were both very high. You know, they both did very, very well. And looking at The Walking Dead, this was like the highest episode ratings wise. Period. It had a 9.8 rating, and the next highest episode was season 4, episode 8, which had a 9.7. So it's kind of funny how, even within seasons, these things have, fairly decent swings. This season has been a crazy swing where it's gone from, at the lowest point, which was episode 5 of season 6 had a 7.4 rating. And I think that's when everybody thought, oh no, is this the end? Like, is it waning? Is the phenomenon over? And then from there, it just kind of took off. And then season 8 finished down, which I remember that was a big deal because they were like, oh, for a finale, it finished lower. And that was an 8.1. And so it looks like No Way Out was a 9.8. So it looks like at least it's back up. Again.
So you said season 4, episode 8. I just looked. That's the one where the prison fell. And,
Too Far Gone.
Too Far Gone, right? That's the one where the governor came back for the third episode and took his revenge. That's interesting. So this one was slightly better than that. I guess that breaks the, we were arguing about how you end the season, how you start the second half of the season. I guess it really doesn't matter. It seems like people tune in either way. So it worked out fine. The starting off with a bang.
Yeah. And then, the next highest was season 5, episode 1, No Sanctuary, which that makes sense. That was the whole.
That was the terminus.
Yeah, based on how that season, season 4 ended, that made sense that would be a long. I mean, these aren't huge, 9.6, 9.7, 9.8. I mean, these are very, thin margins. But I mean, the show for the most part, the median is right around 8.5 rating, which an 8.5 rating is kind of insane because, we're looking at, other shows that are on network television that have ratings in the 1s and the 2s, and they're, NCIS is like one of those highest rated shows, and it's got like a 2.4, 2.7 or something like that.
They would die for these ratings.
Yeah, so it's kind of insane that, this is the rating points are 4 times higher. So. Pretty crazy, and Better Call Saul did very well too for its premiere. So
it wasn't bad. I put up on that. It was pretty okay.
Yeah,
starting off slow again, but
it's on the DVR, so I haven't had a chance to.
The whole first season of Better Call Saul is on Netflix too. If people want to catch
it.
I mean, the last season we won.
Yeah.
Okay.
Season 1.
Season
yes.
1. That's why I know when I said the first season.
Oh, I think you said third. I was like, the third season.
No.
I was fell asleep for 3 years. I was with it.
No, I'm a time traveler, and I went forward in time to see Better Call Saul. Season 3 hasn't even been produced yet. I got to see it.
They call him Saul yet?
Saul good, man.
Saul good, man. That's it.
So that was the last little bit because I know we talked about last time that we didn't have ratings numbers. I don't have ratings for episode 2 or episode 10, I guess I should say. But I thought it was worthwhile to talk about the premiere ratings because again they were just so high. It's all good news.
It's all good, man.
It's all good, man. So episode 10, this one starts off with Rick and Michonne, and we see there's like a photo of. So it starts off, and actually what we see is the photo of Carl and Judith, and he has the patch. He kind of has the bandage over his eye. Right. And when I saw the photo, I thought, well, did they just do a time jump, like a not even just like a small jump, but like a larger jump? Because we see this processed photo in this frame, and then we see. Michonne and Rick, and Michonne is just out of the shower or whatever. And then I thought, okay, are they a couple now? Like, are they what's going on? Because they seem very cozy with each other.
Did it feel like a Folgers commercial? Like almost the best part of waking up and you see Michonne doing her hair and wrapping the towel.
It's a zombie kind of morning, Alexandria. The best parts of waking up, spilling a zombie's brains on the sidewalk and drinking a hot cup of Folgers.
You know what I mean? I mean that's the feeling I got from that opening. And actually, the first image we see is Rick putting another notch in his belt, or another hole. I should say, not a notch, like he killed somebody. It's another hole because he's losing weight. They're starving. Apparently, they're hungry, and he's trying to tighten the belt, so to speak.
So, and then Michonne starts going on about. Toothpaste. She wants Rick to find a special kind of toothpaste, and so they have this very domestic conversation, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah, it seems like they say, and he also said this in Talking Dead. At least 2 months have passed. If we're talking about,
I was going to say they like expressly. I didn't catch anywhere in the episode they expressly said how much time had passed.
There was some saying I think it's been many weeks since we found somebody. I think Daryl said that when they were in the car. But then Denai Guerrero, Michonne was on Talking Dead. It said it's been at least 2 months, so she kind of clarified it for everyone out there. But what about Jesse? I guess that was fun. I guess she's out of the picture now. I mean, obviously not going to spoil the end of this episode, but I mean, wow, okay, didn't take long to get over that one. I guess from Rick's standpoint.
And it's funny because we talked about that last week, and even Aaron was saying how he's pretty sure that they're pretty much dispatched, and we won't see much more of them. And
he definitely called that one.
He was definitely right. So and I guess fast forwarding things 2 months will kind of do that where you can just cruise on past it and not even worry about it. So the point of this is Rick and Daryl are going on a run, and apparently they've been going on these runs rather frequently because like you're saying, Craig, they're running out of food, they're running out of supplies and everything else.
Toothpaste.
Yeah, toothpaste.
Sorghum.
Yeah.
The envy of all the corns.
I've never heard that before. I never knew that was real. I thought Eugene was making it up, but obviously I guess it is true.
I remember being on Little House on the Prairie all the time.
Oh, yeah.
They needed gingham and sorghum.
Well, and also Denise was talking to Daryl before they went out in the ride and asking for pop, or I guess soda for the rest of us out there.
Yeah.
And that was a cute little scene. She was like nervous or whatever, stammering in front of Daryl. It was kind of cute.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. Yeah, candy bars and soda pop. And the one thing that was very strange with this episode that just kind of came in and was never referenced again and never really went anywhere, and to me didn't really mean anything, was the conversation with Maggie and Enid. It's almost like this felt like maybe they cut the episode short. Like when they kind of pulled the final edit together, they were like, oh man, we're like 2.5 minutes short. Like we need something else. And they kind of scavenged for footage or something and threw that thing with Maggie and Enid because Maggie doesn't show up in the rest of the episode. The conversation the two of them had really didn't have much to do with anything. I mean, I guess maybe you could say that kind of formed the way Enid was thinking in the rest of the episode, but it was just, it came across as awkward and it didn't feel like it fit. I don't know what your guys' thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I think it didn't fit really the rest of the story. But then again, in the back of my head, I was thinking, well, they've done a pretty good job fleshing out all these Alexandria people, but they were like filler episodes where they did that in. Where it was just, okay, this is an Alexandria episode. This is where we're just learning about their backstory. So maybe this was done deliberately just to give Enid a little bit more depth again. They're trying to work this character pretty hard this season. But it was an odd conversation. It definitely felt like a deleted scene on the Blu-ray. You're right about that.
Yeah.
It's something that could have, like we were saying at the beginning of the episode, I thought this whole episode could have been streamlined a lot more, like more focused on just the supply run itself. And it seemed like everybody had to have their moment, you know. Like some of those moments were cool, like the bit with Denise and Tara was nice, you know, and stuff like that. But like, it just seemed like everybody had to, you know, sometimes The Walking Dead suffers from the fact that it feels like it has to touch on every cast member in every episode. And I don't really feel like it has to. And sometimes, you know, we get scenes like that where it just feels like, you know, Maggie was included just to include Maggie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's I mean, I wish the episode had been a little more streamlined, focused on just the supply run itself. I think it would have been a better episode overall. It could have, I don't know. I don't know. It wasn't bad. I'm not saying it was a bad episode. I'm saying that my one like real criticism of it. I think it would have been stronger if it just been a little more focused, a little more zeroed in.
I think they're trying to do, because really Enid and Maggie didn't have any screen time together except last episode where she kind of saved Maggie or attempted to save her. So maybe they're trying to form this bonding between Maggie and Enid, and they just had to start it here, plant the seeds for it. And maybe it's going to blossom into something big. It'll be a big sister, little sister kind of relationship, or who knows. But maybe that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, it could be. So Rick and Daryl head off, and it was kind of funny because Rick gets in the car. You could definitely, the one thing I appreciate with this episode is you could definitely tell, and we've gone through this a couple times with this series, but it seems like we're kind of on this path now, at least for Rick, until probably something terrible happens and he switches his mood again. But like he's kind of got it. Like he knows that Alexandria is a good place. You know, he feels confident that the people there are strong enough to work with him, that they can, you know, build a life there. You know, that they can fix what's broken and kind of get back on the right track. And you know, he turns on the radio and starts listening to his music because it makes him kind of feel, you know, how things were before everything broke down. And Daryl is just like, I cannot believe you are listening to this, like anything but this. Like,
no, please don't put it on. Don't.
Yeah. Which obviously you can tell that this isn't the first time that this has happened. Like this is a recurring theme for him to have to suffer through Rick's music.
And then Rick also had a comment. He's like, "Oh, it draws the walkers away from our place. You know, okay, brings them away from home or something."
But I do understand what some of the people on the Facebook group are saying about this. It seemed like a Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, somebody said that. I'm trying to find out who it was.
You can almost hear like Waylon Jennings doing by that time, Daryl and Rick got the most hog-tied railroad. Boss Hog sure had a hold on him now.
Especially when their keys got stolen. Like I could see that.
Yeah. There was that one scene where Daryl and Jesus are chasing each other. They could have done like yakety sax from Benny Hill.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a little bit later here. You know, this episode was good after everything.
Yeah.
The past few.
So of course they're out and about. They come across the sorghum. They make a turn. They come across these trucks, and of course one truck happens to just have food and all kinds of stuff in it. And so they decide to leave the car and take the truck. And it's funny, when they first went up on the trucks, I kept waiting for like something bad to happen. Like you know, they'd open up either it was a trap, like they'd open a truck and then you know, there would be walkers inside of it, or they'd open a truck and or get knocked over the head, or you know, whatever. And so then they get the, it turns out everything's fine. They get in the truck, they start driving, then they go to stop. And what's funny is they turn the truck off, and I'm like, why wouldn't you just leave it running? Like, why would you, like, if you're concerned that maybe it wouldn't start again, like I would be concerned about that. I guess maybe the argument is if you left it running and somebody came up, they would just get in the truck and take off. But
or fuel was low or something. Who knows? I mean,
yeah,
it's dramatic, but
I don't know. It just seemed a little weird to me. But
yeah. Well, I mean, the thing you say about bringing images of the truck being a trap, we've seen that before. We've seen it where the wolves set a trap in these type of box trucks or container trucks or things of that nature. So that's why it's probably in your head. And also, I mean, it's in my head too. I shouldn't say it's your head. I was thinking the same thing. And you feel Negan out there. You know he's out there lurking somewhere. And
I had the similar thoughts that you guys did, that it was probably some sort of trap or whatever, some enticement. But I was thinking that it was a Negan thing.
Speaking of that, do you want to address that with the car from last week? Everyone's been talking about in the background. Do you think there's anything to that? I really didn't. You know, the hidden car. You guys, you don't talk about, right? That,
yeah, I just assumed it was a goof.
Mm-hmm. But the show's pretty tight. I mean, they could CG that out. You think they really just missed it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, but then it wasn't on the nose enough where people were going to notice. I don't know. It was strange. It was just odd. Conspiracy theory stuff, I guess.
I mean, I guess at this point it's been months. So if there truly was somebody that saw that happen, where those guys got blown up, and all that was going on, why wouldn't they? Like, why wait months to do nothing? You know what I mean? Like, it seems like if that was the case, there would have been something that happened by now. Yeah, that's just me. Who knows?
No, it's I guess you're right. The show's pretty tight, but maybe they make mistakes too.
Yeah, it's easy. I mean, even big budget movies have weird stuff happen. You know, jets flying overhead and anachronisms and things like that.
Or people walking in slippers or something, supposed to be wearing boots or whatever.
Yeah.
Weird things like that.
Yeah, I think there's a bit in The Godfather where there's like a jet that flies overhead in the 50s that wasn't invented yet. You know, things like that. But
yeah, I mean, it's just pretty interesting though. Also, the sorghum things. Like Eugene tells them look for this, and they see a barn with it painted all over the side of the barn. It's like, how did you miss that? I was like, come on, this is so obvious. This is crazy.
Yeah. But then of course they find the candy/soda machine. Not exactly sure how that works. I guess it's all cold, but
oh yeah, I didn't think about that. Oh wow, it's pretty. Yeah, it's like usually the candy's in one and the soda's in the other one. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Wow.
So they use the truck to tip the machine back over and want to get the soda out of it. And of course that's when they run into Jesus and or Jesus runs into them. Yeah,
they find Jesus.
He's
right there.
Which is a cool moment. You know, for those that follow the comics, that was a pretty cool moment for them to come across him. And they kind of have a little bit of a standoff, and they end up letting him in a kind of weird twist. They kind of let him get away. You know, again, you know, we saw Rick, you know, back I guess season 2 or was it season 3 where he what was that episode Nebraska where he he just shoots those guys. You know, we know something kind of hinky's going on, and so
the bar.
Yeah. And so he, you know, lets him go, and of course they hear what sounds like, you know, gunfire or whatever, and they run around the corner, and it turns out it's firecrackers in a barrel, and it attracts walkers, and that's when Daryl says he stole your keys, didn't he? And they turn around,
yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, and the truck, of course, you know, he drives away in the truck, and then they
Daryl does not like him at
all.
all.
No, you can see that. And Jesus' name is Paul Rovia. It says here. I wrote down, which I don't know if that means anything beyond that. That's his name. Or in the comics, if they go back and forth with that or not. But
yeah,
Paul Rovia.
Which I think he did a good job. Like the actor they cast as him, Tom Payne, I think it was a good choice. Like he looked the part, you know, the long hair and the beard and you know everything. It definitely looked like him.
So, another British actor. We can't grow actors here in the U.S. It seems like it's like if you got long hair, you have to go to England to get them and bring them over, right?
It's funny too because I have a friend that his real name is Sean, but everyone calls him Jesus because he has long hair and a beard, and when he has to dress up for Halloween or costume party or whatever, he always goes as Jesus. You know?
Buddy Christ.
Yeah, he's been Buddy Christ, but like he's like in my wedding party, for instance, he came as Jesus.
How funny!
I have a picture of him and one of my wife's coworkers as the devil, like you know, with an arm around each one.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, we call Jesus, so I mean, it can't be a nickname. It's not unheard of. You know?
Sure. Then of course Rick and Daryl, after they keep running, they it's Daryl the tracker again, where they're picking up tracks on the road and everything, and they come across him trying to change the tire, and then they're able to get him, and they tie him up. And this is where it's just kind of like one of those funny things where it's like they tie the guy up, they still don't just shoot him. It's like, okay, he's stolen your truck and set you up to where walkers would come at you, but yet you're still gonna let him live. And so Rick's response is, well, the knots aren't that tight. And so they're driving away, they go on down the road, and they've probably been traveling for quite a while, and they realize that I guess they hit a bump or something like that, and they realize Daryl realizes that he's on the roof. And so I love Rick is like, watch this. Slams on the brakes, and of course he goes flying, and then we get the Daryl decides to get out. Rick just wants to kind of chase him around in the truck, which that's not going to work so well.
But you covered a lot there. If I go back just 1 second, when they get to Jesus, when they find him changing the tire and they kind of ambush him, Rick does this kind of bear hug on him from behind, and Jesus does this crazy kung fu like stuff. He hits him in the head and knocks him back with an elbow, flips him over.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, wow, this guy's actually pretty badass. I mean, doing some crazy
Master of Krav Maga or something.
Absolutely, yeah. So he's really martial arts or something. So I thought that was really neat. The only way really he got down is Rick knocked him down, and they both draw their guns on him, and he stops for a minute, and then Rick does his little head tilt, his little, I want the keys now. And he kind of does a little head tilt, and he goes, this is done. And he kind of, he let him know that was the end of his run. But I think this is also made to demonstrate that Rick has changed a lot. If this was Rick from maybe 6 or 7 or 8 episodes ago, Jesus would be a goner. He'd be done.
Sure.
He'd be shot down. So Rick has come full circle again, and he's definitely valuing life a lot more than he has at least 8 episodes ago.
Almost kind of remind me, like, remember in the Hangover when Ken Jeong kind of came out of the trunk and just like went crazy on? It's like, who is this guy? Like all of a sudden he's got all these crazy fighting skills just out of nowhere, and it just kind of reminded me of something like that, where it's like this unsuspecting person just totally schools you.
But Rick must not know how to tie a knot, because I mean he was literally in the truck and then driving away a few seconds after. I don't understand how he can possibly get rid of those ropes and jump on top of the truck. But hey,
I think it was more to just show that this guy has skills. Yeah, and even in the comics, he's kind of like that kind of crafty, slick kind of guy.
So Jason Bourne of the zombie apocalypse. He's crazy skills that were taught to him. Okay.
Yeah, so I think it was meant to not so much be that Rick is incompetent as much as it is this guy is a true badass.
So I now want to see Morgan and Jesus go at it. That's what I want to see. I want to see whose Jedi skills and Israeli martial arts Steven Seagal skills can come out here.
So Daryl starts chasing him, and it's kind of funny, like Jim was saying earlier. Yeah, you almost can hear the Benny Hill music as they kind of run around the truck and chase each other. And
why you?
Yeah, exactly.
It was very changed. I mean, Brad McCreary actually put this kind of whimsical music in there. It was different. It was
So of course all that stuff happens. Then Rick gets out. They try and grab him. They get in the truck. Somehow Rick shuts the truck off. The key is out, but yet the truck goes from park to neutral or park to reverse. And I was like, how does that happen?
You're noticing a lot of automobile things that are not consistent with reality. I agree with you. I don't bring them up to slow this program down here. Okay, but
I mean, did you notice that too? Did you?
I absolutely did.
You
cannot shift from park without having your foot on the brake and having the key in ignition on that kind of Ford. But it's okay. It's fine. No problem.
If it was a standard, okay, you pop it out.
Yeah, the thing I always notice is how many Hyundais survive the apocalypse.
That's true.
As opposed to other brands of cars.
If we're talking
by
about
the way, we need to say this whole segment is brought to you by Orange Crush.
Yes.
We haven't seen Hyundai the last couple of seasons. We've seen more like Dodge and Chrysler. Like this was Chrysler 300 they were cruising around in. And then last season
those first few seasons they definitely had a licensing deal.
Oh yeah.
We mentioned on the podcast a few times. It's like, how come Hyundais are the only cars that we ever see after the apocalypse?
They look so clean too. They're all nice and new model years, everything. Right? Yeah. Shane had that green Hyundai. Remember it was Santa Fe or Tucson? I can't remember which one that was, but yeah. So look, when it comes to automobiles and reality, we have to suspend our disbelief a little bit, just like we do with zombies running around. That's all.
And of course, the truck then falls into the water and sinks. And the only, the real redeeming thing is, Daryl says, it's like, karma. Like it had to be this way. Like, law of averages.
What's what Rick said at the beginning of the episode? He goes, yeah, law of averages. We're gonna find something. And he goes, yeah law of averages. That's BS.
Yeah.
That truck looked like it really sank though. I think they definitely drowned the truck. I don't think that was CG.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah, I think they sunk that sucker. And of course, had a few little bubbles that come up at the end, just to let you know it's down there. Yeah.
And it was funny to back up a little bit while they were chasing the truck down. Daryl has a couple cans of the Crush, and so at one point they, one of them got, popped open, so they, they're drinking from the hole in the can, and then Rick opens the other one, and they just kind of shotgun it. It's kind of funny.
Yeah,
just the whole.
I had a taste for one this morning. I was in the store. I bought one. I was like, okay, I somehow I went Orange Crush this morning. I don't know why, but that's like.
I can see that you're putting that footage in slow motion. The drink of the zombie apocalypse. Orange Crush.
See, marketing works.
Yeah.
Coral. Go get some Orange Crush.
And chocolate pudding. It's a good mix.
Yeah. There you go. So of course at that point they're able to subdue Jesus, and this time they kind of get him for good.
Well, actually, they didn't really subdue him. The only way Jesus got, I had to watch this twice to pick this up. The only way he actually got subdued was the truck hit him in the head. The door was open.
Right, the door was,
it nailed him. Rick and Daryl couldn't stop this guy.
Yeah. Which again, I think it adds something to it. I mean, I appreciated that, the fact that this guy is just like, it's almost like he's superhuman or, like mystical or, just like, he's got this weird quality about him that, and I guess, his name is Jesus, so they kind of played up on it, but it just, I don't know, it kind of fit. It fit for me at least. But while all this is going on, we kind of cut in and out of this. But while this is going on, Carl and Enid go out into the woods, and apparently for weeks they've been doing this. This is kind of their thing that they do. And Jim, I don't know if you noticed this, but Carl was reading copies of Invincible out in the woods, which I thought was fun. So for those of you that don't know, Invincible is the other long running comic book series that Robert Kirkman writes for Image and has put out, and is just as good in my opinion as The Walking Dead. I really like Invincible. It's been running about as long as well. I mean, I think it started really close to the time The Walking Dead started. So it's been around pretty much as long as.
Invincible's great. It's like the trappings of Superman wrapped in the Spider-Man teenage, and he's grown up in the comic as time has gone on. And it's just really good. I'd love to see like an Invincible animated series.
Oh, it'd be fantastic. Yeah,
that'd be great.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice that was the same hollowed out tree that they were in last season?
No,
I thought that was. Like I thought it looked like they were in front of that same tree that Carl needed, hit in during that scene.
Oh, it might have been.
It felt like that was the same little area. Like that was the same tree. Like
makes sense. I guess.
I don't know.
I just thought it was cool. They kind of had their space, where they just kind of go and decompress and just kind of hang out. And as they're out there, they see another walker, and Carl is adamant about telling Enid. Enid says, "Look, I don't think I want to come out here anymore." And so this is the only tie I saw back to the Maggie conversation. Is maybe Maggie making a point of telling Enid that she's part of the family now, that she's one of the, that whole conversation, that maybe that's what spurred her to think, well, maybe it's time I start to act like a member of the society instead of always running away and running out into the woods and just doing this. But Enid's kind of weird anyway, so it wouldn't have been that big of a jump for her to kind of for that to happen. But Carl tells her to go back. She doesn't want to go back, and he's really forceful when they see that walker that we don't really see. We kind of get we see Carl's face, and he just kind of has that look on his face.
Yeah. You see the feet.
Carl's definitely keeping his eye on it.
Oh,
I had to.
Yeah. All right, so that was the C story. Then the B story was Michonne following Spencer for hire into the woods too. I mean, there's been a few stories.
So zombie Deanna.
Yeah, so Spencer's going out into the woods with a shovel on his back, and then Michonne's up in the tower, and she decides to go down. Although who took her place? Like, who's the watcher on the wall? And
she left the gun up there too.
She left the gun too. I was like, what? Like she has her sword. So
yes, sure.
So she follows Spencer out there. A walker comes up. Spencer is going to kill it, and then Michonne says, "No, I'll take care of it." Cuts its head off, and she's trying to get to the bottom of why Spencer's out there, and Spencer will not tell her. He just won't. He's like, "Look, there's something I got to do," and it's the typical story trope of like, "I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you." Even though why would you tell him? So they're out doing their thing, and Michonne spots Carl out there as well. So she, it's kind of like all this stuff kind of going on at once, and we find out what's going on is like Jim mentioned, it's zombie Deanna, and the reason Spencer kind of got a glimpse of her at one point, and it's just kind of been his mission to try and find her and give her proper burial, put her to rest. And when Carl saw her, Carl was trying to lead her back, I guess, because we'll get to that a little later on too. But but he's got his own motivations for wanting to do that. And so eventually they come upon her, and at that point Michonne understands, and Spencer puts her down, and they actually give her proper burial.
Under a nice little tree with a little D carved in it. But
a
couple questions though. I mean, Carl, I think, was leading Deanna because he saw exactly where Spencer was. He knew where Michonne was. He leading Deanna to Spencer, or trying to lead her back to the community? Where do you think he was going with her?
I don't know. I think almost maybe like he was just making sure she didn't get too far away, like that she would either stay close to the camp, to Alexandria, or to make sure she just didn't wander off too far.
Okay.
Or he may have just been trying to get her back there to where he could go get Spencer and say, "Hey, I found her." Yeah.
Okay. I just didn't really understand. I understood it, but I didn't know how far they wanted to go with what Carl was doing with her. Yeah. It's all right. It's a cool story. I think it's all right. I mean, look, and they did have a lot of Michonne in here too. We really kind of glossed over this, but I mean, there was some development of Michonne and her talking about her final moments with Deanna and what Deanna imparted in her. What do you want for yourself? What do you want from this world? Take charge of yourself, and that's obviously comes to fruition at the end of this episode, big time. So there was some growth there for Michonne. Yeah,
she kind of confides in Spencer that his mother is the reason why she for once wants to start living again. To make a home here and to be there and to feel like she's part of a family and not just be this crazy loner that runs with a sword out in the woods. With two jawless, armless walkers chained to her. So I thought that was again, like you said, more character development with Michonne, which we talked about last season. Earlier part of the season, we talked about the show in the past that in the early incarnations of Michonne, that was one of the things that we were critical of, is the fact that she didn't have much character development. She didn't say very much. And so if nothing else over the last 2 seasons, the show has really done is start to develop her as a fuller character, and I think the show is much better for it. And I think given the events of this episode, I think that trend will continue in a very good way.
Now, do you think the new status quo relationship between Rick and Michonne, do you think that's paying off something that's been building up for a long time, or do you think that just kind of came out of nowhere?
I've seen hints of it.
I got a lot of thoughts on this, but it's up to you.
Yeah. So yeah. All right. Well, let me just kind of finish. Well,
sorry.
No.
Get ahead of you.
No, I could definitely talk about it.
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, I think they've been planting seeds on this for a long time. Obviously, they hooked up a little bit on the couch at the end of the episode, and obviously they slept together as well, as we saw. And how do I put this? I think Scott Gimmel's been planting little seeds of this for many, many years, and we finally see it come to fruition now. When we didn't expect it to, but it just kind of happened. I'm very much for this. I like this little Rick and Michonne thing. I think they are very much equals in a lot of ways, and I think they make a very cool Walking Dead couple. I think maybe even more than Glenn and Maggie do in a lot of ways. I'm very much for this, and it's been brewing for a while.
I agree. I've noticed little things between the two of them as well, and most of it, Carl's kind of the catalyst of it. Just the way, and Judith, just the way that you see her take towards Carl, and then the way that her and Rick kind of act around each other. That's why I thought. I thought the Jesse thing was cool, but I think if there's any criticism, it's like that, and maybe that's why they decided to jettison her is because that's the direction they really wanted to go with Michonne. But I'm with Craig. I think I've seen them plant seeds for this prior. This didn't seem to come out of nowhere to me.
Yeah, I mean, it started really if we go back to the episode Clear, which again Scott Gimmel's hallmark episode, which kind of I guess got him the job, if you want to say, of running the show, because he wrote this great episode, wrote many great episodes before he got the showrunner position. Rick had he looked her up and down. There was some little looks, there was some glances. She even confided in him and said, "Look, I understand you see things. It's kind of cool. I get it." And they had this kind of bonding thing, this fellow warrior status for quite a while. And I guess, and I did watch Talking Dead, I guess when the way Denai Guerrero put it was pretty cool. It's like, well, they finally had a couple of months to not be fighting for their lives, and they're living in the same house together. They finally had a chance to relax and actually, become who they are and just let nature take its course. And I'm cool. I think it's very cool. I like it a lot.
Did you think it kind of came out of left field, Jim? Or
I don't know. I think both the characters have like a healthy respect and friendship for each other for a long time. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, and they built that respect, with each other for a long period of time. I guess I didn't feel like it came out of nowhere so much that they hadn't really built on that idea recently. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, Craig. That's been building over a long period of time. I saw that more as just like a building of mutual respect, just because of the situations they'd both been through together and gotten through together and everything. And I could also see what was the point you're saying that Denai Guerrero made. That they have all the shared experience. They've been together for a while, and then they're living in this house together, and things that you already have that trust and that respect built. I mean, I could see that kind of, I could see what happening. Or I could see what is happening happen. I just didn't think in the recent episodes there was anything that kind of signified that at all.
Which makes it more fascinating.
Does that make sense? Yeah, I didn't think it came out of left field so much as I didn't think it was foreshadowed at all recently, like in this season or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I'm also thinking back to when Rick was almost killed by the governor, kind of convalescing, and he glances and sees Michonne taking care of Carl again, and they were in that house with the claimers caught up to him. And, they've been through a lot together. He sees that Michonne is really good for his family. She's taking care of Carl. She's taking care of Judith. They're living in the same house. I mean, he's come to a new place in his life too. He's got a new understanding of things now. I think it's been leading up to this, although it's very, very subtle. You have to watch the whole thing to pick up on it, but it works for me. It doesn't feel forced in any way.
I think it's an interesting coupling too, just considering going forward, the story going forward. That's like a whole different dimension to the way they're going to react to each other and the way everyone will react to their partnership.
Well, now I'm worried about Michonne. I mean, now I thought this was coming for a while, but I said if it does, that means she's a goner, right? I mean, it's kind of where it's going to lead. Right? I don't know. I haven't talked about the comics. I haven't gotten that far in the comics. So I don't even know. But it's something going to happen maybe in her storyline now, and that's going to affect Rick. Who knows? But it'd be fun to watch at least for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I agree.
A little tidbit too. When they drove back to Alexandria, that the sign was up there. It says, "Welcome to Alexandria Safe Zone. Mercy for the lost, vengeance for the plunderers." Pretty cool little town sign.
That's right. Don't take any crap.
That's it.
So they all make it. Once they all make it back, the funniest thing, when they take, they realize Jesus has been hit in the head, they need to take him to get looked at, so they take him to Denise, and she looks at him, and Daryl walks in and he's like, "Yeah, that other thing didn't work out. It's this asshole's fault." That was so Daryl. It was so awesome.
He hates this guy. It's great.
Yeah,
so good.
That's the line of the night.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of funny. So obviously they. And then of course Daryl and Rick look at each other and it's like, so we'll do this tomorrow, and they're both like, yep. So it's just kind of like this, again, it just kind of continues. And given how the beginning of the episode started, with them kind of domesticated in this domestic situation, and then we get to the end of the episode, it was so funny because it was almost like a sitcom, right? Like,
right, they're flopping on the couch after a long day of zombie killing.
Didn't feel like Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And then Michonne, we found a guy, and she's like, you found a guy, and he starts explaining all this, and it's like he's talking about like a hard day at the office, like he just had to deal with these people and his boss and all this other kind of stuff, and she explains all that. And I love the way Michonne looks at him. She's like, oh, you had a day.
Yeah.
It was just a really good conversation that the two of them had, just kind of telling each other about, honey, how was your day? And this is a normal, this is kind of getting back to normalcy again, like we talked about. Yeah. And so they just kind of have this conversation and everything. And
well, I mean, we haven't had the time or the chance to breathe and have good character moments like this for a while.
Yeah. But it was just such a cool, like I said, I just thought it made the fact that this wasn't just a Rick and Daryl episode. That's what made this pay off, is the fact that if we just had the part in the beginning and then we just had this now, it doesn't, like, you kind of empathize with Michonne a little more too, to say like, okay, we both had this crazy day and we're just going to share it at the end. I mean, I still believe that if this was just a Rick and Daryl episode, I think it would have been tighter. I think it would have allowed for maybe some growth with those two as characters, and maybe got a little bit more of what's going on with Jesus. But given that we got this moment at the end, I kind of backed away. So during the episode, I was like, man, this would be so much better if this was just Daryl and Rick. And then when I got to the end and this all happened, I was like, okay, well maybe I guess that makes sense as to why they interspersed the other stuff. Like, it was to get to this moment right here.
The part was pretty it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, he pulls the mints out of his pocket. He reached in, and he reached in when they got the vending machine on the street. He did on the second rewatch, I caught it. He reached in and grabbed the mints and put it in his back pocket. Like, I didn't catch it on the first viewing. Okay, that's pretty slick.
And at first I was like, man, tell me he doesn't have like a candy bar or something in there, because if he pulls out a candy bar, I was like, I ain't eating that. So that's kind of funny that it was the wintergreen lifesavers or whatever.
Yeah, and he kind of put his hand in hers, and then I guess it was like a tap. It was like a little tap thing. Then she kind of grabbed him back, and that was it. It just kind of happened right there, and it felt very natural. I thought it was fine. I didn't feel it was forced or just. Go back to season 2. All right, I'll have sex with you, Glenn. Let's go. Okay, in the drugstore. Why not?
Yeah.
It's like,
that was more out of desperation. Like, this didn't seem out of desperation. This seemed out of like legitimate, developed caring and intimacy between them. So.
Yep. Yeah, it was good.
But so of course then we cut next morning. The two of them are laying in this bed. They're completely naked. They hear something. Rick stands up and grabs the gun, and he's completely naked. Michonne stands up right next to him. She's completely naked.
Sword,
yeah, grabs her sword. So it was the way that shot was like framed and timed and edited, I thought was genius. I mean, this episode to me wasn't as greatly directed as, I mean, obviously when Nick, we all have a soft spot for Nicotero when he directs, it's something, and I know Michelle McLaren's coming in on a couple episodes that we've been really happy with, but I thought this shot here, it was perfectly framed, perfectly cut, and Jesus kind of looks at Rick and he's like, yeah, we need to talk, and it's just like that's where it ends, and I just thought that was a really cool capper to the episode.
Yeah, it's very cool. And actually, the director, her name was Carrie Skoglund. She never directed any Walking Dead episodes, but she did direct several, or a couple at least, of Fear the Walking Dead. So she cut her teeth over there.
It wasn't any of the flight stuff, was it?
I don't know about that. No one's claiming any credits on that one. And we did. Okay. Now that you bring up Flight 462, we did have development. The flights are out in Phoenix and they're out everywhere. Dun dun dun. We can't land.
Yeah, that was your Flight 462 moment of the week.
Yeah. Would you say we can't land anywhere because they're, like it's happening everywhere?
Yeah, occasionally, like, gotta land this plane, and the stewardess that got bit or scratched or whatever says, "Oh no, they're trying, but there's no lights in Phoenix. There's no lights anywhere. Lights are out everywhere." That was it.
Oh, it's the lights.
The lights
okay,
of power,
gotcha.
whatever. Yeah,
Gotcha.
We saw the lights, flicking out when they were taking off, or all the lights were going off. And,
We should record an intro for each week for the Flight 462 moment, and have it be longer than the actual episode. Wouldn't be hard to do.
No, would not. We can definitely get on that.
Before we get to our ratings, let's take a moment to talk about our sponsor, shall we?
I think we shall.
We should. Yes.
That would be DCBService.com. It's your one-stop pop culture shop for comics, graphic novels, hardcover collections of comics, toys, action figures, comic and pop culture related T-shirts. Right now, one of the big specials. I know I've been really enjoying the X-Files reunion show.
Awesome. It is awesome. I want the show back now. It is that good. I wanted to finish out the season.
Well, they're bringing back the X-Files comic, and you can get the first issue for 60% off at DCBService.com if you order it now. I love the X-Files, so I'm definitely planning to jump on that. But if you're looking for Walking Dead, if you want to get into the comics in the in any form, in the single issues, in the single trades, all the way up to the giant compilation phone books that have like 48 issues in one book, or the really nice hardcovers they have now, the Walking Dead action figures that are coming, and dioramas that are coming out from McFarlane are super sweet. Anything you can find in the Previews World catalog, which is a giant pop culture catalog of everything that comes out every year, you can get at DCB Service for a huge discount, usually 40, 50, sometimes 60, 70% off, depending on what you're looking for. You can get 5% off on your digital comics orders by going through DCB Service, and using Comixology, you get 5% kickback. The Marvel relaunch, all the new books from that, 50% off. Also 50% off on all the DC trades and hardcovers. That's all of them. So if you want to catch up on your Dark Knight Returns before Batman v Superman or anything like that, by all means, do so at DCB Service. Not only are you going to get the good discounts, not only are you going to get the huge selection, but you're also going to get great service. If anything goes wrong with your order, if there's any problem, DCB Service has the customer service to help you out and make you a happy customer once again. A lot more so than, say, Amazon or another giant faceless an internet entity that you would normally order things from. And like I said, you're going to get prices that are either competitive or cheaper sometimes than Amazon. I know I find them all the time. Again, DCB Service and their .com and their sister site, InStockTrades.com. Both of those sites will save you a lot of money, and you're doing business with good people, and we thank you for your sponsorship.
So ratings, who wants to go first?
I'll take it away. I will give it a 4.25 busters for this episode. It was definitely a solid 4 right up until the very end scene. Like I said before, I'm very cool with this romance. Others out there probably aren't. Others could care less. I'm not exactly a shipper, but I've been seeing this coming for a while. I'm very cool with it, so it elevated at least a quarter point for me. Cool episode. Had some flavors of some past seasons in there, but the smaller story and all. We needed to take a breather from the crazy intense action we had in the first 8 episodes of this, or 9 episodes of this current season. So I'm totally okay with everything that happened. Nothing really stood out just to kill this episode and make it really ridiculously bad. Good Walking Dead, solid. I'm looking forward to next week and just keep it going.
I'll give it a 3.75. I thought this was kind of above average, but not great. I don't know. There was just some weird. I can't even put my finger on it. There was just some weird pacing things that just didn't sit right with me. So again, I don't think it's bad. I just thought it was kind of okay. And I don't know if it was edited different or maybe directed, maybe a different director. Maybe I would have not been so tough with it. But again, yeah, I didn't dislike it, but it just was kind of above average for me.
I give it a 4.25. I'm right there with Craig. I really like this episode. It's amazing to me that one of the biggest surprises this season had nothing to do with anyone being killed. It was Rick and Michonne hooking up.
Yeah.
I like the Rick and Daryl stuff with Jesus. I like the I don't think we mentioned the Deanna and Tara stuff, or Denise and Tara stuff. I like that too.
Yeah, Tara was even in the episode, but Denise just kind of carried it, I guess, or spoke to it, right? So yeah.
I don't know, just it was a good episode. Again, we need a breather after the relentless pace of action that we've had so far, and this was a good chance to let our actors actually have some character moments together. And I always appreciate that about the show, because ultimately, as cool as the zombie effects are, as cool as the horror elements and the ultra-violence and the villains and everything, what really brings me back to the show are the characters and their relationships to one another. So I give this a 4.25.
Nice. One of the things, not to backtrack too much, but I think we forgot something. I was looking over my notes that was pretty important. Was when Carl said that family should, when Deanna should have been killed by family, when he kind of has his conversation with Michonne, and he said, I would do it for you. And I think, given what happened in the end of the episode, I think at that point Michonne was just like kind of overtaken. We've seen the two of them, Carl and Michonne. We've definitely seen their relationship grow by leaps and bounds, in the past couple seasons. And so I think, again, it kind of hit home that in this crazy world, the way you kind of get closure with your, it's a way for you to get closure with your loved ones instead of just letting them be mindless and, and kind of live this existence. That it should be, somebody that loved you that put you down, which is kind of, it's just such a weird. I mean, it makes sense. I get it, but it's just such a morbid, unfortunate way that people have to live their lives in this situation.
So if there is someone in your life who likes Nickelback, please, by all means, take it into your own hands. Put them down. Let it be from someone they love. Oh, you're talking about zombification. I'm sorry.
Well,
same thing, I guess. Who cares what we think, guys? Really, when you get right down to it. We have a 700 member strong Walking Dead TV podcast Facebook group. And guys, if you want to talk about Walking Dead, and I imagine you do because you're fans of this podcast, you're fans of the show, then by all means join the Facebook group. We're up to 716 members. We have 40 members this week. Awesome stuff. Every week we ask our members what they thought of the show, what their buster ratings are of the episode. And this week is no different. And thank you, Craig, for throwing up the link in our group, by the way. No problem. Since Aaron wasn't able to this week. Jeff Rhodes started out with, well, it's about damn time. I couldn't say that better. Pamela Burton, I give it a 5. It was a fun and sad episode, and I'm not a shipper, but it's about time Rick and Michonne got together. DeRay Irvin, 5 out of 5, just amazing. Cool. Brent Jones, 4.5. Once you go Michonne, you can't go back, out of 5. Loved it. Enjoyed them showing the dynamics of the new Grimes household. As a white dude married to a black woman, I couldn't be happy to see this on the biggest show on TV. Gay couples, interracial couples. The show isn't scared to show you relationships that don't always get shown.
It's true.
Tanya Royston chimed in to show a passionate interracial love scene. Kudos. I've read Santa Marina. All I could say was, ship it. It was an odd episode. Kind of an odd couple feel to it with the curmudgeon Daryl and all of a sudden optimistic Rick. It feels different. This may be what the show needs, as they seem to have gone super nihilistic recently. Yeah, I agree with that. Deanna as a Walker didn't help. I'll give this time. Michonne and Rick did feel like a couple, and this seems like a natural progression. Yep. This may be a major deviation Gimple was talking about versus the comic. Anyway, 5 shippers out of 5. Mary Turkey, I'm giving this 5. What would Jesus do out of 5? Probably steal your truck, I would guess. Yeah. And then kick you with weird manga moves. Yeah. Love the humor in this episode and how it balanced with the sadder scenes of Spencer in the woods. I'm glad they did a time jump too. Mike Jones, 3.5. Jesus wigs out of 5. My main issue here was Jesus on top of the truck. This guy isn't Batman. He was just too good, too quick. Rick and Michonne together was pretty obviously coming for a long time. I think it'll be good for the storytelling. Room for improvement, but a solid episode. Cheryl Morris Goodman, a 4.8 buddy cop movie scenes out of 5. Did either of them say they're getting too old for this stuff at some point? Fun episode. Yeah. Totally different than the last. I love the new dynamic, though I didn't expect it. David Do the third. 4 times I'll take this truck out of 5. Other than how the whole bait and switch fireworks and later loose ties went down, the episode was well rounded. It's tough coming off an episode where hundreds of walkers were slaughtered and a couple months went by, and all you could think of was, where's Negan? Yeah. Seth Tillman, 4. 5 out of Michonne's orange Tic Tacs. Was there more product placement there? I missed that. Tic Tacs. No. Finally, some Rick and Michonne action. Love Rick and Daryl's Beavis and Butthead trip. Not to mention Jesus is a perfect ninja badass. Max Sofer, 4 cans of Crush out of 5. Solid episode overall. All I could think of when the firework trick happened was Jesus took the wheel. Then I giggled to myself for about the next half hour. Tanya Royston, 4.5. Bow Chicka Wow Wow out of 5. I think the slower character building episode was needed. The Rick Michonne sequence, yes, a long time coming. The Rick Daryl bromance was just as hot. Loved Rick swerving the car to make Jesus fall on Daryl. I don't know who Jesus is, but his fighting skill was badass. I'm intrigued. And Paul McAckern, 4 out of 5. Busters, a great business as usual episode with a strong feeling of menace. You knew that Jesus guy was no good and going to come back and haunt them. I understand the morality of play, but man, why bring that dude back to the nest? Brent Jones, did it feel like anyone else, like Rick, didn't know about the Negan foot soldiers? Did they not tell him about it? I don't think they, or maybe they just don't realize the threat.
I mean, you didn't feel Negan out there, though. That's the cool part. Like, you feel him.
Do you think,
he probably wouldn't come alone.
Yeah. But do you think that Daryl and those guys told Rick about Negan in that?
I think so.
Yeah. But they're running out of food, so they have to go out and do supply runs. But
dude, Rick was probably like, hey man, there's 2 spots for rockets in this case. What the hell happened to the other one?
Right. We're short 1 rocket. Can anyone explain that? Roger Austin, 5 sunken trucks out of 5. Loved it. A nice fun episode after all the drama and tragedy of the premiere. Wasn't surprised at the end as it seemed a background thing for a while. Almost thought I missed something in last week's episode after seeing the very family-like interaction with Michonne and the Grimes boys at the beginning of this episode. Susan Monk for five breath mints out of 5. Love this episode. I did think Rick, Daryl, and Jesus were the 3 Stooges of this episode, and they were hilarious. My other word for this episode is adorable. Ian Timms, 4 out of 5. Who is this guy, and is there a W under his hair? I didn't see a W. Pretty hunky dunky episode though. Good to see Rick with a girl that can look after herself. That's true. Richard Chopper Cherry Charrington, I'll give that 4.5 cans of Orange Crush out of 5. A fun episode, a sad episode, and a mysterious episode. Nice little nod to the Invincible comics as well. And yes, Jesus was right. We need to talk, Rick. Remember Jesse, the woman you were falling for, the woman who was torn to shreds last week by walkers? P.S. I'm training for the London Marathon this year. Gerald and Rick gave me a great idea for training. I just need to find a truck full of toothpaste and someone to steal it, and then chase it all over the countryside. Rob Cook, 4.5 comedy road trips out of 5. This is a great episode and some well-needed light relief. Really interested to see what Jesus adds to the mix other than awkward bedward appearances. Shayla Benson-Vega mentioned R.E.M. is from Georgia. Don't they have that song Orange Crush? And yes, they do actually. It's on the album Document if you want to go find it. And that's what you guys all had to say from the Walking Dead TV Podcast Facebook group. If you want to link to the shows, if you want to link to our comment thread here so we can read your comments on the next episode. Also, links to Aaron Newer's reviews of each episode of The Walking Dead. Then by all means, join the Facebook group. It's the Walking Dead TV Podcast Facebook group.
716 members strong right now, so.
Yeah, 41 this week.
Absolutely. Keep going. Keep telling your friends. If you like the show, just join the group. We let everybody in, and it's really definitely troll-free area. Great group. These comments are amazing. I'm chuckling at each one of these. We have some really, really smart viewers out there, so thank you for the comments. It's really funny.
And someone even shared a video with the group from The Walking Dead Ultimate Fanatics where it's that scene of Rick and Daryl chasing Jesus to the Benny Hill music, and it's sped up to boot. So definitely check that out.
I'm watching right now. The sound is hilarious. It's like double speed, right? They're going really fast.
Yeah.
This is pretty funny. Thank you. Actually, Pamela Burton shared that, so thanks for sharing the video, Pamela. We appreciate it.
So what else?
That's it. It's another world.
I don't have an episode title for next episode. I mean, this episode was called The Next World. At least for my IMDb, it just says episode 11, which is odd. Usually they have the next episode.
I see it here. It's called Knots Untie. It's directed by Michael E. Satrazemis, written by Matthew Negrete and Channing Powell.
Nice. The little blurb I have is Jesus leads Rick and the group to the dangerous road to the Hilltop Colony. So again, if you're a fan of the comic, you'll know what that is. This is kind of getting into exciting territory for me because where the show is now versus where and the characters and where everybody's at versus where the comic is fairly different. I mean, things are following along fairly close to the comic as far as, stuff we talked about last week, Jesus coming in, etc. But the fact that the makeup of the group is slightly different, and the fact that the actors playing some of these characters aren't exactly comparable to their comic counterpart, which I think is a good thing. It has me kind of excited for how they're going to play this out coming up and how these interactions are going to work. So this is exciting stuff. I think the last half of this season, and I think into next season even, is going to be pretty exciting to see how this world expands.
I think it's been a pretty neat trick too, how they've been able to keep a lot of the big set pieces from the comic. You set them in different contexts because of the characters and being in different places or whatever. Like, for instance, the Governor's Siege in the prison was a lot different in the comic than it was in the show, yet, it was a Governor's Siege in a prison, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. It makes it interesting for me because it's almost like a remix. The comic elements and the characters and kind of like, here we go, here's another take.
That's exactly what Scott Campbell promised. He says, look, we're going to weave in and out of the comics. We're going to stay on the course, but we're going to divert a little bit. We're going to time jump a little bit. But ultimately, we'll stay the course, but the characters could switch around. I mean, look, Daryl isn't even in the comics, right? I mean, he's not even there. So it adds a whole different dynamic right there. And this is great. I'm really enjoying it so far. Good season.
Agreed. Pretty tight episode, folks. I guess we're down one with Aaron being out this week. I will be out next week, so hopefully we can record and get Aaron back on the show to kind of fill the gap. Tuesday sometimes are better for Aaron, so don't be surprised if next week the episode may be a day later than normal. But we will be back next week in some capacity to talk about episode 11 of season 6. Definitely check out the Facebook group, like Jim mentioned, and Craig. Lots of great interaction over there. Lots of folks coming into the group and sharing their thoughts on the episodes and news and all kinds of cool stuff. Facebook.com/WDTV podcast. And if you'd be so kind, if you haven't left us an iTunes review, if you're new to the show or haven't been listening for a while and haven't left us an iTunes review, we haven't had any iTunes reviews for a while now, and it would be great if folks could leave an iTunes review. We'd really appreciate that. It helps elevate the show, gets it recognized, and updates its profile. So again, any iTunes reviews would be greatly appreciated,
especially during the season because that's when people will be looking for a podcast about the show, and the exposure really benefits us even more during the season of the show.
It really helps. I'm growing a new podcast myself, Auto Chat Show, and it's like it takes a while to get picked up on iTunes in a prominent way, and those reviews really help. So if you like the show and you want to get noticed out there, get this show noticed out there, just give us a quick review, 5 stars. Definitely helps. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So if you're into podcasts about geeky TV shows, I imagine you would be because you've been listening to this one for quite a while, then do I have some shows for you to check out? Oh my. First of all, go to hhwlod.com. You will find there podcasts covering other great genre TV shows, including It's All Connected, which covers all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe television shows. That would be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter on the ABC side, plus the Netflix shows, all that kind of stuff, hosted by your very own Russell Latham from your Walking Dead TV podcast. So if you want to hear more of Russ's erudite speech about television, the by all means head over there. If you want to hear more of my insane ramblings, then join me, Daryl Taylor, and a rotating guest chair every week as we talk about DC television on the DC TV podcast. But right now, that's 6 shows that we're covering every week. We're kind of nuts like that, but actually the podcast is coming under 2 hours every time. So right now we're covering Lucifer, Supergirl, The Flash, iZombie, Arrow, and Legends of Tomorrow, and also all the DC TV and movie news that is fit to print. We're coming down the wire here on Batman v Superman, and we've been following that coverage very heavy. But if you watch any of those shows, by all means check out the DC TV podcast. Also, Daryl and I do another show weekly called Nothing's On, which is a general topic show about television and movies with professional comedian and professional curmudgeon Donnie Salvo, and that is available on the Taylor Network of Podcast.com every week, usually posted on Friday or Saturday. Plus, if you missed hearing Aaron this week and you want to hear him and I, plus Scott Mendelson of Forbes.com and Brandon Peters of the Cult Movie Cavalcade podcast, then check out Out Now with Aaron and Nate, Aaron's weekly podcast about movies. And we did a commentary track for the movie The Crow from 1992.
Love that movie.
I did too, and it was great to go back to it after all this time and rewatch. I haven't seen it in a few years. We did a really interesting commentary track on it, and so if you have a fondness for that film, definitely check that out. That just got posted to the Out Now with Aaron and Nate's site, which is available also on the internets.
Well, you guys are busy.
And
one more too. Yeah,
I was gonna say, and if you did Cars, then Craig is the man you need to listen to.
Absolutely. I thought you had another one. You do so many right now. It's just crazy. I have one other podcast I'm on right now called the Auto Chat Show. Facebook.com/Auto Chat Show. AutoChatShow.com. You can find us on iTunes. Just type in Auto Chat or Auto Chat Show, and it comes right up. And we do a review of new cars, talk about cars and pop culture. It is a really fun, about an hour or so each, hour 15 each show, and it is even if you're not